Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. A lot of it is a slight tweak in your lifestyle, your diet, your personal life, could be sleep, could be your relationships, can make a big change in your wellness. And she's somebody that definitely recognizes that. She works with people all the time, especially women connected with the military, with different reboot programs and transformational programs. We're going to talk with her today, Lorraine Cuff. Coach Lorraine joins us. Welcome back. How are you?
Hello, Steve. Doing great. And yourself?
Fantastic. And I want to share with everybody, today or this week marks a very important week in your life with your role in the military. At this particular stage, 30 years we're marking this week. Do I have that right?
You have that correct, Steve. Not on the dot, but the 30 years and a few months.
Wow. That's just incredible. Congratulations and thank you from the bottom of my heart and everybody else for that.
You're most welcome.
And you are somebody that you're unique in that you specialize with women connected to the military. And today we're going to look at top metabolic conditions of military women, and that could be active, that could be retired from the military. I'm intrigued how that varies from women who are not in the service. What is the difference? Why don't we start there?
Right, because that is a good place to start. So, you know what, I've always thought to myself when we join the military that we have to join the military. We have to be at our healthiest. So you would think, retiring or separating from the military, that our health should be relatively better than the general population. But it turns out that up to 40% of veteran women and men experience some form of metabolic syndrome in comparison to only 32% of the general population. So why are our numbers so high?
Why? I'm intrigued. I am intrigued.
Yes. So, I mean, some of the things to consider. Metabolic syndrome, what are those conditions? That pretty much simple lifestyle changes could either reverse or minimize. So, obesity or overweight, insulin resistance or hyperinsulinemia, high blood pressure and hypertension, high blood sugar and hyperglycemia, and also cholesterol, triglycerides, and low HDL. So those are the things that are markers of metabolic syndrome and the conditions that a great number of our warriors, retired warriors, are battling after retirement.
So does life radically change after retirement from the military in terms of the health situation? And is it similar to the rest? You know, some people retire and just kind of take it easy, maybe eat a little bit more, not as conscious, and things change within their bodies?
So you've kind of hit it right on the head there, Steve. Life does change drastically for many of us in the sense that when we're in the military, we are continually conditioning ourselves to be at peak performance. And with veterans, so regardless of what our diets are, because we're very active and not being laid back, our metabolism is pretty high. Things don't impact us or don't present itself in the way it could as it would otherwise. So now we're laid back, we've become more sedentary than we were before. And of course, depending on the job that you had in the military, because the job that you progressed through the military, starting with, you may have been on the flight line, be a driver, you're being very active. And as you progress through the ranks, your position is generally a more sedentary position. So it builds on itself, and we're pretty much doing the same things that we were doing before, basically eating a lot of highly processed foods that's not good for us. So the continued consumption of highly processed foods and the more sedentary life.
We've talked about that before, Coach Lorraine, about the highly processed foods. I want to go back to that. You're bringing it up now. Is it that so detrimental to our health?
Yes, it is. So highly processed foods, our body does not, at most times, does not know how to process those foods. And what impacts us more is the quantities of those foods that we consume. Anything that we put into our bodies can be toxic at some point. If you eat too much, because even when it comes to the E. coli, for example, there may be little bacteria in our body that's actually for E. coli in our colon. But if we were to consume it, and basically the numbers climb in our bodies, that's when things go awry. And it's the same thing with toxic food or highly processed foods. Your body knows how to get rid of or process it out of your system in small quantities. But if you're continually eating a lot of sugar, a lot of refined flour, and things of those nature, potato chips, seed oils, that continuous bombardment in your body, we eventually, our bodies say, listen, I can't deal with this anymore. This is just too much. And your body decides to react in a certain way, whether it be fatigue, headaches, increased thirst, frequent urination, blurred vision, erectile dysfunction, irregular menstrual cycles, digestive problems, sleep disorders, skin problems, and depression. These are the things now will start presenting itself, and different for everyone, that most likely is a result of some metabolic condition that hasn't been addressed.
When we say metabolic condition, how do you define that? What is a metabolic condition?
So metabolic condition has to do with how your body metabolizes things. It has to do with your energy, how your energy is sourced in your body, and how your system functions on a regular basis. Your metabolism is dependent on what you eat, the source of your fuels, and the nutrition that you put in your body. Without a fine-tuned metabolic system, things could go sideways.
Wow. I'm afraid to eat my next meal. Like, seriously, thinking about what I'm consuming. And sometimes it's challenging. Like, for example, I go to a place that prepares meals, and it's reasonably priced. You can get them. You can buy them online. This place is local. I've actually been to one of their locations, and I can just peer in, see them cooking in the back. But, and yeah, it's cleaner ingredients. It's better than, other stuff we may consume. However, I don't know exactly what's going in there. I think I'm, a couple of steps in the right direction, but I'm thinking unless you prepare it yourself, handpick every ingredient, you're never going to be exactly where you need to be or where you should be.
And that's true, Steve. But the thing that we should focus on is controlling what we can control.
Sure.
We can't control everything in our life, but focus on the things that you can control. If you know that a particular restaurant does a lot of, like, fast foods, you know that going to fast food is not the best option. Now, if you go to fast food once in a while, okay, maybe your body can actually handle that, and it's not an issue. But for folks, for one reason or the other, every food stop they make is a fast food restaurant, that can really go against you. So the focus should be controlling what you can control.
Gotcha. I always ask you this, and I find it intriguing coming from somebody who's definitely plugged into their nutrition and practices it. What are you eating today or planning to? What was breakfast? What will be on tap for lunch? What are we looking at?
So today's going to actually be one of my spoiled days because of the celebration that they're having for me. So I'm not sure.
You're allowed. You're allowed.
What's on the menu?
I'm cutting you slack. After 30 years, pig out, pork out, freak out. It's all good.
So this morning, I actually decided, because I knew this was coming up, I decided to fast this morning. So I've only had my cup of coffee, black coffee. And
okay, stop right there. Stop right there. Black coffee, caffeine or decaf?
Caffeine.
Okay. All right. Just kind of curious. I'm a decaf person. I don't drink coffee to wake up. I just drink it because I get super jacked up and sometimes shaky and just it just doesn't work for me. I drink it for the flavor and it's more of a treat. And black. I noticed that you said that, so I'm the same way. Maybe a splash of 2% milk, maybe to cool it off, actually. But didn't mean to. I just wanted to get the. I was curious. Okay, so please continue.
Right. So caffeine, and I thought about having a couple rations of bacon, but I'm not hungry. So I said I'm going to kind of ride that wave. But I probably would have had, if I did go to the store, I'd probably had some egg bites, which is a protein-rich
Love them.
breakfast.
Love them. Love them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't eat eggs. I haven't eaten eggs, and I think it began. Everybody has something when it comes to food. When I was a kid, loved chocolate milkshakes, and my grandmother would say, put an egg in there. And she would throw a raw egg in my chocolate milkshake, and I think that turned me off from eggs. But I recently, after I was 8 then, in the last year, started eating egg sandwiches and then graduated to an egg bite and love them to the point where I now make them at home and sometimes with my daughter. Basically, it's an egg in a muffin tin, a little tiny one, and you add you can add peppers, you can add some cheese. Sometimes you get really funky with the cheese, Gruyere cheese or broccoli and things like that. Would you say those are super healthy?
Those are super healthy. I even do a frittata, which is good. Are you familiar with a frittata?
Similar to an egg bite.
Right, but it's big. It's like a pie dish. So it's a similar thing.
Yep. You know what's interesting. Stuff that's out there, Lorraine. Many times, like for example, I didn't eat eggs, and then years back there were like marketing messages. Oh, they're bad for you. They have cholesterol. Stay away from eggs. I don't know who created that, but then that just put that mark in my mind that eggs are maybe not a good idea. So protein, and the same thing with beef. That came up too, where don't eat. It's bad for you. So you never know what to believe and where these marketing messages are coming from and what the goals are. But eggs loaded with protein and we don't have to worry about all the other garbage that could be going into our food when you eat them.
Yeah, but there is some there's good and bad in eggs also. I just was sharing with my son a video about the egg in terms of the egg yolk, the egg white, and which one has more nutrients versus the other. Because of course, with this low fat phase, people were going towards having egg whites. But egg whites is 90% water. So what are you actually eating? All the nutrient is in the yolk. So when folks just do the egg white, you're not really getting the full benefit of the egg. If you have the egg, and the fat source in an egg is actually a good source of fat for the body. So the whole egg, if you are an egg eater, if you eat animal foods, you should consume the entire egg and not just the egg yolk. And for those folks who are vegan, vegetarian, of course, now you have to look at your other protein-rich sources like beans or leafy greens and do more of that so that things are equal in its nutrient source.
Gotcha. Personally, egg whites look just slimy, so not appealing to me. But all right. So interesting. I'm glad we did that to learn a little bit more. What's on your radar when it comes to eating beef. You're not big on that. I'm trying to remember.
I'm a big beef eater. I've meats. Yeah.
Oh.
There's times because there are times when even to the carnivore diet, for example, or people who do an animal-based diet. I think there's a time and place for everything. Carnivore for me it's the ultimate detox or ultimate elimination diet. Of course, that won't work for someone who's vegan, but for those people who do consume it, you can do things in one or two ways. You can do a strict carnivore diet and then slowly reintroduce other foods to identify what allergies or what your body doesn't tolerate, essentially. Or when they do a low FODMAP diet, in that case, what they do, they eliminate certain foods, and then they test, see how this works for you. And for me, that takes too long. I like to get back to eating my regular food as soon as I can. So doing the carnivore diet first, and then just start reintroducing foods as you go, it to me it works a whole lot better, and it actually helps to heal the body to do strict carnivore for a while.
What I will say on my side, and especially we're talking to people like you, is I'm just more aware of what I eat when it comes to meat. Like, for example, if I had something beef, we'll call it beef related on a Wednesday, I'll try not to have a steak on a Thursday. It'll be on my radar, or definitely not, more than 2 days in a row. Give it a few days where, back in the day, I didn't even think about it. I wasn't mindful of it. I just eat whatever, I'm out, whatever comes up, I'm going to eat. So I from what I hear, we should cut back on the amount of beef that we eat, but it's not a bad thing for you.
No, not at all. I mean, and that's a healthy way to address your eating habits. It all depends on what your entire plate look like for the entire week. Red meat is a good source. It's dense nutrients in red meat. And if you're only eating red meat once a week, then you have to make sure that you color your plate with the rainbow throughout the week. They said within a given week, you should have 35 different vegetables. Right? And basically, that's the source of, as far as colors, that indicates your nutrient density, where you're getting your foods from. Because different colors represent different enzymes and nutrients that our bodies need. So you try to create that balance. You have your red meat, you might have a little pork, because there are things in pork that you can't get in red meat, but you may be able to source those things from elsewhere. Fish, we all know about our fatty acids in fish.
Sure.
It's always good to have fish. If you don't, then you have to maybe look at some kind of supplement to balance it out. And like anything else, if there's something that you're not eating, look at what the nutrient that you're missing from not eating that stuff, and look for an appropriate supplement that can help balance you out.
Gotcha. And I take fish oil every day, because I'm not a big seafood eater, and I feel that you would have to eat a decent amount of seafood to get the benefits of fish oil. I'll say this, and curious about your thoughts on it. When it comes to fish oil, I've always understood for years that if you're going to do it, go for premium quality. When you just walk into any pharmacy and just grab, whatever brand off the shelf, you're not getting as pure as you can. And you may pay a little bit more for the good stuff. Like, I'm not endorsing, but Nordic Naturals is the one I've been on for years.
And you and I both.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Tell me. I'm curious.
I think Nordic is a good product, and you're correct in saying that you have to look at the ingredients. What are they sourcing these supplements from? Is it, you want to avoid the synthetics, for example? The synthetics are not going to be as bioavailable in your bodies as you would from a natural source. So that's one to give some thought to it. And recently, like, I take electrolytes on a regular basis in my water, and I was looking at magnesium content. And magnesium is good, like, especially for people who suffer from migraines and things of that nature, muscle cramps, and even going to the bathroom, essentially. Magnesium is a good thing to add to your diet. But then I discovered, because I was reading the label, and the product that I bought, the magnesium source is magnesium oxide. And then I read an article where you have magnesium oxide, magnesium glycinate, and magnesium citrate. And magnesium oxide, majority of that passes through the body. Your body doesn't absorb it anyway. So that might be good for going to the bathroom, but for what your body can actually use, the glycinate and the citrate is more bioavailable to your body. So you really have to, well, you should. And it's not that as an individual that you have to know these things. Try to ensure that the people around you, your medical professionals, and if you have a dietitian, if you're working with a health coach, that they're basically helping you to provide you the information to get what you need for optimal health.
You're like a scientist. Like, seriously. And it's funny, I bought magnesium about 4 months ago. better stuff, better quality stuff. And then I heard about you could have stomach issues and bathroom issues, if you will. And I'm going to tell you, I was afraid to even dive into it. So I haven't even opened the bottle. I need to research that more. But thank you for your input on that. Would you take magnesium supplements?
Yes, I do take it, just like I said, as an electrolyte to kind of help complement. I do eat vegetables, but I'm not a big vegetable eater. So as a result, I look to incorporate certain additional supplements in my diet. In particular, since I practice a low-carb diet. Low carb, if you're a low-carb or no-carb person, you have to increase the amount of electrolytes, potassium, sodium, magnesium, and sometimes calcium in your diet, because carbs hold onto salts and water in your body. When you reduce the amount of carbohydrates, and quite often when people reduce their carbohydrates for weight loss, for example, the first thing to go is water in the body. And with the water goes the electrolytes. So if you don't reincorporate it into your diet, then you could end up with muscle cramps and headaches and things of that nature. So you got to really look at your diet and balance things out.
Interesting. Didn't know that. And I'm very careful when it comes to cutting back on carbs. I try to when I can. I think it's important, but I've radically cut back to, maybe, I don't even know the number, 5 carbs a day, whatever. And I found myself getting a slight headache and just not feeling as good as usual. And I'm thinking that maybe I would overcome that in time. Final thoughts here on low carb diets. What's the best approach?
Gradually.
Okay.
Do it gradually. Everything is dependent on what's your goal. If weight loss is your goal, if you're just trying to eat better, and your starting point. Some people, because they've neglected their health for a period of time, things are going to impact them a lot different than someone who's already healthy and just trying to take a good path. But whatever you do, you need to do it gradually and get the support of the right professionals in your life to kind of take you through that journey.
Love it. You're the person to accompany that journey. You've been doing it for literally decades, and today marks that, your 30th in the service. I appreciate all the information. If somebody wants to connect with you, Coach Lorraine, what's the best way to do that?
The best way is to reach me through my website, lorrainecuff.com. I also have a YouTube channel, and I'm on Instagram, Coach Lorraine.
Gotcha. And I'm going to say, give her a little bit of space. She'll be celebrating, and rightfully so, in the next day or so.
Thank you very much, Steve, for that.
Always great having you on. Really appreciate it. And again, congratulations. I'm honestly and truly so happy for you. That is it's just amazing. And you're so plugged into it and so passionate about what you do. And I appreciate you being here.
Thank you again. My service never ends for me, because that's where I'm continuing my service for health for my veteran women.
It's in your DNA. All right. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Take
Thanks.
care.
We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.